Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another pen, and this again is a PenBBS pen. This is the 309-54 SF Smog. Now, I have a number of PenBBSs now. Actually, this is my fourth one. I previously had two of the Hawaiian gradient pens, and although I like them, I do not like the fine nibs on them. The fine Chinese nibs just do nothing for me. I'm more of a medium or a broad nib guy, sometimes even a stub nib. So I did this video back tail end of 2018 where I showed you my PenBBS Hawaiian gradients, and I removed the nibs and feeds from them and I replaced them with other nibs. And my idea was to buy this, replace the nib, and try and put a Yovo nib on here. Now, unfortunately, I actually ran out of Yovo nibs. So let me unbox this. You can see here, PenBBS just comes in this very cardboard style box with a magnetic clip there, and then the pen rests inside. So this is similar to another recent PenBBS that I got recently, and this is a the previous one was a cartridge converter, which you could eyedropper. This is the 309 version, so this is the piston. But you can see here the reason why I bought this. These swirls are really quite hypnotic, and this reminds me a little bit more of the Visconti Homo sapiens bronze swirl in terms of the swirl patterns. Now, you can get these sort of swirls in other kind of pen acrylics as well, like Edison do some, John Twist from Twist Pens do some as well. They're typically called water acrylics, and they are really nice looking, and they do come in different colours, but I felt that the white swirls against a dark colour ink would actually come out quite nice. So this is a piston filling pen, as I mentioned. Now, I did say that I have swapped the nibs over, so let me just clean that nib up a little bit there. So this is a Leonardo nib that I put in here. Now, I wanted to put a Yovo nib, but I realised I ran out of spare Yovo nibs, and I could replace it with a nib from another pen, but I didn't really want to do that. So this is a Leonardo steel nib, but it's a gold coloured nib. And I really wanted to sort of swap the nibs over because I do not like the fine nibs. But you can see here, in terms of the size in my hand, this pen is actually quite a good size, and you can post the cap if you really want to. It does become a little bit lengthy, as you can see here. I don't have large hands, but even that, it's still quite long. I don't really see the point of posting the cap, but I know a lot of people do like to post their caps, either to make the weight balance better, or the length of the pen better, or even because you feel that you lose the caps. So I get that and I understand that, but for me personally, unless the pen is a really short pen, I do not post my caps. But you can see here, that's actually a pretty decent size. You see the crook of my hand here, that it's easily I can write with this. This isn't going to give me any problems. Now, this is, as I said, a piston filling pen. Now, you do have a section here that you can unscrew as well if you wanted to maintain this pen, and you do have an O-ring on here as well. So if you wanted to clean the pen out, then you could do that. And you have likewise the piston knob here, which will activate the piston there. You could clean the pen out if you wanted to there, but that's probably an easy way of cleaning the pen out rather than activating the piston a lot. So here you go, you can see the piston there. So I will sort of bring the piston all the way down, and you can see here. Now you can continue unscrewing these and actually remove the piston from this end as well. I'm not going to do that, but you can do that, and you can reseat the piston. So you can fully disassemble these, very similar to like a TWSBI if you wanted to. So you shouldn't really have any problems cleaning this pen whatsoever. So I decided that I would, let me just try and put the cap on so it doesn't roll away. I decided I was going to try an ink that I haven't inked up recently. I have over 270 bottles of ink. Yes, 270. But this is an ink that I actually picked up at the October pen show, and this was not last year, it was the year before. It was a free bottle of ink, and it's Diamine Syrah. And I don't think I've actually used this. And this was actually, there you go, Elwes 2017, London Writing Equipment Show 2017, free ink from Pure Pens and Diamine Ink Company. So I don't think I've actually used Syrah before. So it is actually quite a full bottle. So I decided that I would try and put this in here and see what it looks like. So let me see if I unscrew the pen and the ink. So it's actually quite a nice red. Now, I don't know if this is going to fit in here. Yes, it will, just about, I think. So let's see. This might take 1 or 2 attempts just to get rid of the air. It's difficult to try and show this on camera, but here we have the ink. So let me just wipe this off so that I don't get a lot of inky fingers. So I think that looks quite good. Now, because it is a piston filling pen, let me just put this cap back on the ink bottle so I don't knock the ink over everywhere. So as it's a piston filling pen, you are going to have at least half of the barrel of the pen with the piston mechanism. And this is typically one of the downsides with a piston filling pen. And so you're not going to be able to get ink up here, unfortunately. And this is why I actually, and I'll show you the other PenBBS pen here I got, is that this one here on the bottom came with a cartridge converter, but you could also fill the entire barrel of the pen or body of the pen if you wanted to with ink as an eyedropper. So I decided I would get that one. But this is the piston one, so you can see there it's not going to be completely full of ink, but it still holds quite a large capacity. Obviously nowhere near as much as the eyedropper pen would, but it's certainly more than a cartridge converter would hold. But you can see here the patterns there, even against the lovely swirls and the ink. You can see that the depth that those swirls do actually have, it's actually quite nice. So I think this is quite a good pen. So this obviously is inked up. Now I wanted to do this one. The previous pen I did was actually not inked up when I did the weight of the pen. So this one I wanted to show really the weight of the pen inked up. But let me do a size check first. We're looking at about 142 millimeters in length, and the cap is about 63 millimeters in length. So it's a pretty good size pen. And then, if I can stop it rolling, the length from the tip of the tines, now obviously I have replaced the nib here. We're looking at about 132 millimeters, but the nib is the same size. It's a number 6 size nib. Now, the one thing that I tend not to like a lot is actually seeing nibs here in the section. Like I do like that you have these swirls here, and you can see the ink is already sort of discoloring some of those swirls. So it will be interesting to see sort of length of time whether or not they will permanently stain or not. but I really wanted to sort of give it a go. But you can see here that the swirls really do look nice. So I thought, really, if I could swap the nibs over on these pens or on this pen and put a nice broad nib in here, then that would work well for me. So in terms of weight, let's check the weight. Now this obviously is inked up, and the weight of the pen, we're looking at around 20.3 grams. The cap is just under 8 grams, and then the body of the pen is about 10.5 grams. So that's actually quite a nice weight of a pen, and I think this actually could become a daily writer for me now that I actually have a broader nib in this pen. So I think what we'll do now is we'll do a writing sample. So this is a PenBBS, and it's the 309, and it has a broad nib and it's a steel nib. Now the ink in here is diamine Syrah or Syrah. Now in terms of the line variation, it's a broad nib that I've put in here, so it's not the original fine nib. You can apply a little bit more pressure and get probably about 1.5, almost 2 times the line width here. And you can see here that because it's a broad width of a nib, you're not going to get a huge amount of line variation, unfortunately. It's just the way broad nibs are. You will get more line variation with some fine nibs and medium nibs, sometimes even extra fine nibs as well. So in terms of wetness test, I have a feeling this might be quite a wet pen. See there, the ink above is still not dry. So that's quite a wet pen. It's not a gusher of a pen, but you can see that it is still quite wet. This is an A5 notepad here, and I think that that is actually quite a good writer. So I'm actually really glad that I did buy this. I will be using this pen a lot. I will be trying to use it as a daily writer, and I do like that I've now put these broad nibs in here. I have still kept the fine nibs, and I may go back to using those at some point if I particularly do get into using fine nibs. But I normally find they're a little bit too toothy or scratchy for my liking, and that's just me. I know a lot of people like extra fine nibs or fine nibs, but for me, I'm a lot more comfortable with a medium or a broad nib. I like to see the ink. I like to have the nib almost sort of surf on a bed of ink on the page. So for me, I do tend to prefer medium and broad nibs a lot more. So that's the review of the PenBBS 309 in the Smog finish. And this is obviously the piston pen. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.